everybody. Welcome to what is going to be a pilot episode for a Channel 3 podcast that we're currently calling What Are Your Three? Our intent of which is to discuss with a special guest from the Channel 3 community 3 games. Their top 3, most likely, could be something weirder. Who knows? With this group, never know what's going to quite happen there. So with me here, El Rey, as always. Hello.
As always, I'm here with Eden Tucker, co-hosting whatever he decides that we're supposed to co-host. I'm here to just show up and be around. And I get the honor tonight of introducing our first guest, cknbromein himself, I'd say, the hottest streamer on C3. No doubt about it. On the rise. I mean, man is on a schedule on every Friday night, every Saturday night, playing every party game there is, and just making it happen with that radio voice. So with no further introduction, cknbromein, you want to say hi? Want to tell us a little about yourself? Where can we find you? All that stuff.
Absolutely. I am, well, first off, thank you so much. It is quite the honor to be the first special guest here on What Are Your Three? So I am so excited to be here, so excited to see what we have in this episode. But yes, that is quite the introduction. You did so great there. I am super excited to be part of the Channel 3 community, being able to stream on Fridays, and I've been playing some games on my Saturday night streams with some of the Channel 3 members. But yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all at spelled out the same, cknbromein. Super easy to find. Think I'm the only one out there. I haven't run across anybody else that has the same kind of name, so it kind of makes it unique. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. That's where you could find me. And yeah, that is quite the introduction. So thank you.
The cknbromein. At least you've got that locked down. I just went with
Absolutely.
my generic name, which is a problem to find most places. So locking that in is a little tougher than the very specific version. But hey, thanks again. We reached out to you, said we wanted to do this, and we didn't really give many parameters. We said we wanted to talk about 3 games, whether that 3 games is Mount Rushmore, if one of the heads gets cut off, if there's something more specific. I don't know. We're winging it. But you gave us a list of 3 games. So we're gonna run down this list here and talk a little bit about it. Some of them we're familiar with, some of which you got to tell us a little bit more about. Sell us on why you have this on your list. What is it that basically this list is about, and where we're going from there. So we're going to start with Brother in Arms Road to Hill 30. So tell us a little bit about that one. Why is that? That was the first one you had on the list here.
All right. So we'll start with the overall why I have my top 3 the way that I do. So all 3 games have a good story behind them, and why it makes the impression that it does and why it is in the list, besides being great gameplay. So Brother in Arms, Road to Hill 30. So the story behind this one is there is my love of World War II history to start with. So we'll start there, especially airborne operations. So that's already going on top of my list there. You know, I am 16 years old. This game comes out. I have a whole library of books. I think actually right now it's probably up to about 20, 25 books. I'd actually have to go and count it out about World War II. More specifically, probably about half of them about airborne operations and all that.
I got to say, I got to cut you off right there, because right now people are really screwing with the math in their heads because, well, clearly an adult man with piles of World War II books has to be in his 40s. Meanwhile, they're also doing the math and saying, wait a second, this game came out in 2005. How is this guy 16 with a pile of World War II books? And where does that happen? But I apologize for cutting in there, but go on.
No, you're good. So I've always had just like a love of it. There's a whole family history behind it. But anyway, so it's out on Xbox. Well, it's across the board on PlayStation, Xbox. And so we talk about 16. Well, I had my 16th birthday, and I was talking about getting an Xbox, saving up my money from working various jobs, doing all that. And it was my parents weren't the biggest fan of video games. They tolerated them. I had a GameCube at the time. So like you could think, Nintendo, family friendly, all that kind of stuff. Well, for my 16th birthday, they surprised me with an Xbox and this game. So first off, I was absolutely ecstatic. So that's why it's probably one of my greatest video game memories that sticks out in my head. But then on top of that is you take a tactical first-person shooter. So for people that don't know a lot about this game, is you have you have two different fire teams, and you basically have to learn to maneuver them around the maps. And so it's all about, fire, flanking, shoot, move, communicate, all that stuff. So it's very important that you do that, because if you don't and you just run it headstrong like Call of Duty, all that was at the time, you're replaying the same levels over and over and over again. So the fact that the tactics that are in it makes you think outside the box, which I had never saw at the time from playing first-person shooter video games.
So this really separated from, because what this made me think of was like Medal of Honor was the one. I don't know whether it was like choices at this time, because Brother in Arms, this was also like a dark point in video games for me, just because of the time in my life. Like I played some games at that point, but Medal of Honor, I had real Medal of Honor vibes, but that was just straight first person shooter. This sounds like there's a lot more strategy to it than just like, oh wait, I'm living Saving Private Ryan. That's what I remember from Medal of Honor. Like, oh, you're invading the beach and you're playing at. And there were a lot of those vibes with this, right? Like it seemed very cinematic, and
absolutely
there was a lot going on there, but there's a lot more strategy.
Yes. So the cinematics with it. I mean, there was, you're trying to I believe the opening scene, if I remember, because it's been a while since I've seen it, but you're there trying to hold this hill. This is a perfect.
Not safe for work, not safe for family. I learned that also. Fortunately, I had the headphones in while I was checking this one out. Otherwise,
there was definitely some language, but so they were on a berm trying to hold a hill, but everything that's going on, and it's just like at the same time, was it 3 years earlier? Or was it 4 years earlier? Band of Brothers came out as well. So think taking the cinematics that was Spielberg's Band of Brothers, putting it into a video game, and then putting on top of that, hey, there's a machine gun nest here. You have to learn how to get around. You can't just run around, go up to it, throw a frag in there, and you'll be good. So it definitely made it very interesting. And
are you taking shots at Giovanni Ribisi and Tom Hanks? Is that what that was? Like,
no, I'm not.
BC went down for it, man. I felt like a direct shot at the strategy or lack thereof, of just like, hey, throw your one medic into this. Is that what that was?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry,
not.
we're getting oddly specific with Saving Private Ryan. Was that not part of the plan? Off the rails. Cut that out of this. Okay.
But then also a fun fact about it, and I don't know if you found this in your research of the game, is I forget what the name of the History Channel show is, but they actually used Brothers in Arms as a way to display tactics in the airborne operations of World War II.
Yep.
There was a whole thing about it where they were talking about it, and they used a video game to show and demonstrate battles and the tactics and all that. So I thought that was really cool as well.
Yeah, they called it Brothers in Arms.
Yeah.
That was
okay, they did? Okay.
On the History Channel.
Yeah.
Back when they did history stuff.
Not aliens. Not aliens.
It wasn't aliens. So that's why it's number one on my list. I think I played that game, and I had a buddy spend the night that night for my 16th birthday, and I believe we made it almost all the way to the end before we fell asleep. But I think I beat it in 2 days, and it was just because it hooked me in for my love of the history of World War II and airborne operations, and it was just such a good game and outside the box at the time. So, and it carried over with playability too, because of course you can make it harder, but then also too there was a multiplayer. It was just a local co-op multiplayer, but that was also fun as well because it uses the same thing, same basis for the multiplayers. You get two squads. Your second player, your opponent gets the two squads, and you have to figure out how to, they had objectives and all that stuff, like, carrying a secret message across to another side. So it definitely made it for a different perspective as opposed to your team deathmatch or just deathmatch shooters at the time.
Nice. Well, appreciate the walk down there. It explains, again, I really forgot about that post Saving Private Ryan wave that rode clean through the Pacific there. So that makes more sense about not being in your 50s and having this World War II piece here. So
right, I was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. After you.
I was gonna say I was just. What's the term they tell people for kids that have
old soul?
An old soul. Yeah, that's what it was at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. So let's go to its sibling game. I think the obvious next conversation point.
Another war-related title. I mean, it's very clear, right? For the second game on the list.
Yeah, the second one here going Worms Armageddon. All right. So if no one has played Worms. And this is this one. Okay, so I first played this game. It made it seem like it was technically a bootleg. It was on a CDR.
The statute of limitations is up.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It's fast. So I had a friend that he always had the latest technology when it came to like computers, or he had, he's the first person I knew that had a PlayStation or a PlayStation 2, or when the Xbox came out. So anyways, one day I go over to his house and I think when he introduced it, what were we playing? I think we were playing Madden. He's like, hey, check out this game that I got. And all it is just the old CDR that was just the silver. And then on Sharpie, it just says Worms Armageddon on it. And I'm like, all right, what's this? And lo and behold, it is the 2D war game with worms. And
obviously,
how great, like how great is that playing a 2-player up to? Could you do up to? I think you do up to four players. I can't really remember, but it just always sticks in my head as a death match with your worms using all sorts of weapons. As water's rising, the land gets destructed like the old tank battles, and they all say different phrases and stuff as it goes. It had everything you needed in a cartoonish way too.
See, I just love all of the animal torture that you're describing. If we didn't have context for it, like again, trying to as much not put dates on a lot of the things we're doing. The Dahmer stuff is really popular on Netflix right now, but I just want everybody to know this is an actual video game that existed. This was not just Bromein sitting in his backyard with a tank and torturing worms. Right. You
water
rising. Right.
I played this game. I loved it, and I always wonder, like, did anyone else play this game? Because I know I played it all the time.
Yeah.
So my question would be, if you remember, because as well, if you had a favorite weapon.
Oh,
because there was some fancy ones.
So the one that is always the greatest. All right. Two greatest. All right. Is you had the holy hand grenade.
Yes.
But then the other one was the homing pigeon, which was a homing missile. But when you shot it out, it was a pigeon that went up and came rocketing down at whoever you were targeting. So I was gonna say
the holy hand grenade because it sang when you threw it.
It did. Gave a little hallelujah.
Gave it hallelujah and then blew up.
Did you have to count to 3? No more, no less. Or am I going to get too deep with the Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
No. I think you did have a 3-second timer you had to throw it within once you pulled it out. So I do agree that you had to count 2, 3, no more, no less.
My kids have appreciated the Monty Python of late, so it only feels appropriate. I did not know the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch came out in this.
Yes, it is.
Hey, what I do have to point out, though, before you go any further, though, I didn't realize until I was looking for this. So for anybody not familiar, and we'll have to blurb about Channel 3 later on during this one's a pretty highly rated one. This one's sitting at a 4.7 with a bunch of ratings on there. So this is not an isolated, like, oh, this game does not exist and one person remembers it. This is actually, pretty popular out there for everybody.
And I think it was one that everybody, like El Rey was saying, was like, I played this. Did anybody else play this? It was like one of those unspoken. Everybody's looking around the room, and then once someone was like, "Oh yeah, I played that game," everyone's like, "Oh okay, it wasn't just me." It's like I said,
it's a lot of favorites and a lot of Mount Rushmores, so you're not alone.
Yes,
and it's still updated. You can find it on Steam still. This game. I don't know if it's just as the same thing. They mess with some, but apparently since 2013, it's on Steam.
It's on the multiple purchases lists for people as well, on the list feature of Channel 3. So again, I'm gonna have to check this out. I've got the Steam set up. I'm gonna have to just bite the bullet and go after this one.
It's going on the wish list, just like Chex Quest. That I know that it's back out.
But I will say so.
I gotta look it up.
I can't remember now.
No. I think Chex Quest got whacked off of there, but Putt Putt continues to reign supreme.
Putt Putt's still there.
Putt reigns supreme. But so with we're talking stories and stuff. Besides the bootleg copy, thinking that it was cool because it seemed like it was from the underground, this unreleased game. But so these phrases that that the worms would say, and they always had something, like be something like, "Oh, that's stupid," or something like that. If you mess up or something. So at the same time, I'm over at my buddy's house playing, and this is the game that we would play a long time. His dad pokes his head in, and what's the first thing he hears when he comes in? It said, "Shut up, stupid." And he was trying to say something, and he thought it was me because our back was turned to the computer. And he still makes fun of me to this day, telling everybody, yeah, the first time I really met him, he called me stupid. And, it was
Oh my God.
So that's why it was number 2 on my list as well, because it's a gaming memory I will always keep with me. So
as Ray mentioned, it's out there. It's on Steam. Get it. Ray,
and before we leave it, Dan, since you mentioned it, apparently the Holy Hand Grenade was put in the game because of Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh, I figured there's no there's no random
they put it in on purpose.
There's no Shakespeare's monkeys like with typewriters eventually typing out the Shakespeare play. The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch is a one and only. That is only the warped mind of Monty Python that's going to bring that out there. And I am immediately after this going to be downloading this game. Just finding out that exists in there means I'm vibing with this.
Yeah.
So third game. I think we got
the third game, which obviously just like the other two.
Yeah, we got a little indie we're going to talk about here. Not familiar to many. So you want to tell us about your third game on your list?
Are we all looking at the same?
It's
same third.
Tell us about this third war game.
Third, yeah, it's also a war game.
So the ever classic Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as my number 3 on the list there, and so that one is, everybody knows it, everybody plays it. It is still the best selling, especially with the new DLC release game that I think, or kart game they've ever put out. I think. Don't get me wrong. There's groundbreaking across the board on some of them, and we'll probably get to one of them here in not too long. But this game for this is the reason it's number 3. This is the game that got me back into gaming, I guess you could say. Is I do travel a lot for work. Not with change jobs. I explained that on my stream. You can go back, watch my VODs and stuff like that. But before, so the reason I got a Switch is because I traveled a lot. And I had a gaming laptop that I kind of diddle with here and there and stuff, but it's a desktop replacement. It weighs about 9.5 pounds, and I was tired of dragging it around with me to the airport, doing all that. So I was like, hey, the Switch is out. It's been out for about a year, and I was like, you know what? I've heard about it. I like Nintendo. It's portable. I could play it at the house, so let's get it. And the first game I bought was Mario Kart 8, and I forgot about my love for Mario Kart and how fun it is and how entertaining it is. And then on top of that, it was about 2 years, or it was a year later, excuse me. A year later, we had the birth of my first child, and I got into a group of fellow dad racers, and I become friends with a lot of them, which is super awesome. And I didn't always play a lot of multiplayer online games, so I missed a lot of that in my late teens and in my 20s. So I just played a lot of single player games, and it wasn't here and there, kind of doing that, working a job, going to school, doing all that between it. And so the fact that the online aspect and meeting people and finding friends for life, I will say, because it's been going on almost three years now that I've known some of these people, and I think it's a huge monumental thing that coming back and what video games can do. So that is why Mario Kart 8 is placed number 3 on my list.
Yeah, so frankly, we're all here because of the dad gaming, right? That's what led us. The dominoes position themselves from same for me. I'm traveling. I got a Switch. I got Mario Kart 8 because I got it early, so it was Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8. The dominoes fall, and here we are all talking to each other now.
Yes.
That progressively, one of those big dominoes was the Dad Gaming Mario Kart League, which led us all to where we are now. As Ray mentioned, though, a war game, right? It's I would, my memories of this game would be non-existent were it not for playing with all of you knuckleheads. And otherwise, I don't think I'd be playing it that much. I'm trying to remember exactly when. It was early on enough that I fell into that group also and started playing, especially the Monday nights. Or I did a lot more Sunday nights at first, but then just kind of okay, I'll jump on the voice chat, and then yeah, hey, I know these people better than I know neighbors at this point. So yeah, that's an epic one. Like you said, they are piling on tracks. They can add tracks until the end of time for all I care, and just keep calling it Mario Kart 8, and I'll be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, that is. That DLC release was huge. Not like just talking competitive wise, I was definitely not getting stale with the tracks because there's always something to learn. And with that, a shout out to Basic. If no one has checked him out on YouTube, if you want to do time trials, that's the man to check out. But yeah,
it
was
all disciples of the Church of Basic. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But even you can see, talking about war, is you can look back at my stream or the Channel 3 stream, because I was a featured streamer last Wednesday on the Mario Kart event. As you can see too, is because it was a rough one out there. I mean, it was an all-out war, and you could just see at some points my face just drop, where it's like, this game is supposed to be fun, but I am so frustrated right now. But you still got to just put your head in it and do it. And yeah, it's like going to war against some of the people that we have here at Channel 3.
Yeah, you, Mr. Mez and Block Mamba certainly made that interesting to get the different viewpoints through the course of that. And that's a great time for the plugs. Is Season 2 is going to have some adjustments, but for the Mario Kart streams will be continuing. But yeah, check it out for channel3.gg. Excellent time to drop a plug in, as we're coming off of Friday night party games, which will be moving probably to another night and time as well for scheduling purposes. And Rocket League, as we mentioned on Friday, Ray kind of snuck that in there for everybody. Little tease by Ray, burying it in there for people for the future of hey, that's going to be getting its own setup with the pros, not Ray and I fumbling through it.
Not me.
I mean, it was, I will say, for the quick plug-in for Rocket League, it was really cool to see this past Friday. I think there were 16 people signed up, as 15 or 16. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think that was the most we had in the casual tournaments, because that's where I belong. But that was awesome to see. It's growing. I know it is a very popular game, but the fact that there are so many people wanting to reach out and try, and I know I've had some, I think Nanner was in my stream saying that he wants to get it and get involved. And so there's people now seeing it that may have not wanted to try it, because of Channel 3 are like, hey, I could dip my toes in the water, because it is free to play on Epic, so why not, right?
Yeah, and not to plug a game we weren't discussing here, but I mean, the learning curve for Rocket League is not bad. They tier everything out, so you're not playing against God's gift. Unlike Mario Kart, we'll see like that person who's got a 40,000 point ranking, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to get destroyed by this person who has only played this game with all of their lives. But you can actually work your way up in Rocket League and do so quite nicely. But Mario Kart 8, again, nice learning curve. We got a good group for playing that, especially if you come on over to Channel 3. So excellent segue there. Now we did give a little credence. Now Ray created a list a little bit ago on Channel 3. It said Mount Rushmore, 4 games only. People tried sneaking in extras in the comments. Ray went and deleted those people. They went and had their families threatened, cajoled. So no, we said
gotta do what you gotta do.
4. That's it.
4.
Which again, I'm pushing for Joel, and this is our record when he finds out that we're doing this, because we still haven't told him about this yet. My goal is still for us to have a list of 3 attached to your profile. I think that's the way to go. However, for the sake of conversation, we're going to give you a little leeway here and talk about a couple of games. So you had some honorable mentions on the list here. So okay. Talk to us about your honorable mentions.
All right. So you said Mount Rushmore. So 4. Well, I decided I'm not going to do that. No, because I like 3. So I'm going to give you 3, and sticking with Channel 3, I'm going to give you 3 honorable mentions and just run through them here real quick. So number 1 in the honorable mentions, Tony Hawk Underground. All right. So that one, just real quick on that one, you get to be the skater. This is your story. It's awesome. It was my first Tony Hawk game that I've owned. I've played the other ones, but never owned one. Owned it on GameCube. Loved it. Great soundtrack. Number 2, another GameCube game. It's my first Mario Kart game, Double Dash. I think it's amazing. I think they do need to add in either a remake, or they need to figure out how to put it in as a DLC, because it was awesome playing with 2 people, being able to switch around, change weapons, and even just by yourself having the ability to switch your items and be able to use them, and special items, which I think is great. I think they added them in Mario Kart Tour, but they need to bring it to Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart 9. And then last but not least...
Wait, because I gotta call out something here before you go back, because I got to make a callback here. Because it got the Matt Damon old face thing happening from Saving Private Ryan when you said your first kart game was Double Dash.
Yes.
No, thanks. I appreciate just the square kick. No. Anyway, Fortnite. You were saying.
Sorry. That is the first kart game, or first kart game that I owned. I played I played the Kart 60 or Mario Kart 64,
Found
which
in a
I know
museum,
that
did
still
you?
is. No, not in a museum. I did not own a Nintendo 64, so that's why I didn't own it. So I played it, but I didn't own it.
Found in the Senior
So
Citizen
that's
Center. I
where.
got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tell Dad how you didn't play the Super Nintendo one, because I didn't either. I didn't even know that one existed.
Side plug. I didn't know that either. So
It's not a real game.
Fortnite, number 3. This one. So Fortnite. This is the reason behind Fortnite is I've also met up with some dads in a separate from the other dad group that I was belong to. I have another dad group that I'm in as well. That is a strictly Fortnite dad group, and I've actually met some dads in there that are super awesome. And one of them, when we talked about friends for life, this is how far this has gone. Is I'm on a Christmas card list with some of them, which in itself is cool having gaming friends to do that. But we know each other as dads, and he actually sent a supply drop, the actual supply drop box that you see in Fortnite, in a package to my house for my whole family. Something for my kid, something for my wife, something for me. And it was all themed around Fortnite, and it was awesome. And I was like, this is just really cool how, again, it brings people together and all that. So that is why it's number 3. I enjoy the game, but it has also given me more friends for life that I never thought I would ever know. So that rounds out my honorable mentions.
I was going to get you with the lightning round questions on that, but I think you answered some of them. I was going to say, why Underground instead of Pro Skater? Because I know Pro Skater is probably the more popular of the two series.
Definitely. So I like Pro Skater, but I did, and I mean, it has great soundtrack as well. I remember playing at my cousin's house, PlayStation 1, and just dropping into the abandoned warehouse, Goldfinger's playing. There's nothing better. It doesn't get any better. But like I said, because Underground was my first Tony Hawk game that I owned, but because you are the skater and it's your story. I mean, granted, it is a standard story, but the fact that you get off your board, you can run around, you can climb on stuff. It's like, hey, it's like me skating around the neighborhood, around town, and I'm just here, building my stats and hanging out, because you have he ends up becoming your arch nemesis. Not to ruin it if nobody's played it, but your best friend, you travel the world with them, and it ends up being a big jerk. But I think it's fun because it's around you and skating and all that. So.
All right, Double Dash. What was the favorite special item? Because I also love the special item part of it too.
That was my favorite special item would have to be Donkey Kong's big banana.
Okay. And then Fortnite, I will keep it easy. What's your favorite drop site for Fortnite?
Okay, so favorite one right now is definitely got to be Chonkers Speedway. That has been, just because it's my go-to. We all land, I have a squad that I normally play with late night on Fridays and Saturdays after I stream. And that is where we go. It doesn't matter if it's hot or not. We're usually going there. Sometimes we'll change it up. There's a few other places, but Chonkers, since it's been there, that has been our go-to.
All right. Well, we've talked about the past. Let's move to the future. So we gave you an opportunity to talk about a future game you're looking forward to. And I got to call out because your first one here is a sequel to a game with a whopping 2.4 rating on Channel 3. So,
oh boy,
tell me about what you're looking forward to here.
All right, so we're talking about Kerbal Space Program 2. All right, so I know there's probably not a lot of people behind it. Maybe not a lot of people know about it, but you are in charge of mission control / piloting / but it's all about the Kerbins.
Bobo minions. Is it like Bobo minions? Is that like the discount brand minions?
I mean, the first guy you control, his name's Jebediah Kerman. May he rest in peace. I accidentally launched him to the moon and missed the orbit, and he's off somewhere in the universe, still just floating away.
Out there somewhere.
Bless his soul.
F in the chat for Jebediah or whatever that was.
Yeah, Jebediah. That was his name. But it's so I just happened to stumble across Kerbal Space Program on a gaming subreddit, and At the time, I was, kind of going through Steam and just, everything on Steam's available. Everything, if there's something on sale, I'm probably going to buy it. I've definitely had to constrict myself to be like, okay, I can't own all these games and play them.
Be careful because this can be used against you at a later date. So I don't want this to be brought up in some kind of a meeting where someone's going to tell you got a problem. But
I got a problem. Careful. No, I have gotten good about it. Even though it's on sale, I have to really, what's the lady that does the Spark Joy? I have to think about that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your time. Do you Spark Joy? No, I could put you to the side. But I saw it. I saw Kerbal Space Program in there and got it, and I fell in love with it. But the fact that it's okay graphically, maybe it's my laptop as well, but it seems limited. The fact that they're bringing in updated graphics, some of the travel and the science behind it for space travel is more accurate. It's pretty close right now, but it's, there's still, it's gaming. But the fact now that it's more physics kind of based with getting it into Space Program 2 is going to make it fun. And the fact that it's now more about colonizing the solar system more than it is just trying to make it to the moon, or how far can you get from there. So just seeing that it was also a delay as well kind of anticipates it to say they knew it wasn't ready. So I want to see how far they take it to see if they can deliver a perfect game.
well, Kerbal Space Program 1 needs your rating, apparently.
Okay.
It's hurting out there.
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
now, you did mention Fire Emblem Engage, which I'm going to bring up just because I'm right there with you. But why that one?
So this one was actually, I will say, goes back to, I hadn't played one. Oh, I did finally pick up Three Houses, but I hadn't played one since Fire Emblem on my Game Boy Advance. So the original one was that
when the Japanese finally started to let us have them. They were keeping them from us through the 90s JRPG rush, and finally gifted them to us in the 2000s. Waited better late than never.
Better late than never. So I had it, and I've always had it, but I tried playing, I forget which one was it in I'll have to look back. It was around 2012. My brother had it on the 3DS, and I just wasn't really into it. And the fact that I just saw the Nintendo Direct and they had the trailer for it, and it looked, even though it's updated graphics, 3-dimensional, says that is the way that it feels to me, and it feels like playing, like how I felt playing Fire Emblem for the first time, where it just kind of felt like it was more pulling me in. And Martha's back, I believe, is what they threw out there as well.
Like a Ghost Marth or something, it seems like. I think there should be some spirits of prior games, it looks like.
Yeah. But also, too, I will say, is the reason I'm excited for it is because I did bring out the Game Boy Advance and fired up Fire Emblem. And let me tell you, I don't know how I did it for years playing on a Game Boy Advance. That is really tough to stare close at that game and try to, maybe I'm just getting older, I don't know. So something that I can actually hook up on the Switch and display on my monitor and be able to just be comfortably sitting, I'm excited for it to kind of relive that nostalgia.
I appreciate the Advance because I found one retro, just kind of hanging around. No backlit screen though. There's just so much about it. It's still in true
not
Nintendo
advanced.
fashion. It's always just a little bit behind where it should be. So.
Yeah, and that's what I was one of those. I know there's all these videos about it, about hooking up all the extra attachments that were to Game Boys, and I was the one that had the magnifier with the lighting for the screen, and I can say that probably helped save my eyes maybe a year or two, being able to have that, because the no backlit definitely makes it tough when you're just sit there and the glare's coming off of it and all that. So it's tough.
Yeah, assuming they don't delay it, they've got a hard date in January 20th for that one, so I'm thinking that's cooked and they'll be ready for it. So I'll be right there with you, first in line for that one.
All right, awesome.
All right, so one of the things on Channel 3 from a feature perspective is quests, where questions are asked. Some of them are philosophical or hypothetical or about experiences, and one of the things we wanted to do to wrap this up was to ask you a question and not tell you what it is and find out what your answer is going to be off the cuff. So the question we're going to ask you is, what video game world would you choose to live in and why?
Ooh, my. That is sort of one on the spot there. All right, so what video game world would I choose to live
Now,
into and why?
Ray, I want to call it. He's doing a really good job here. The only thing he's missing is like take a quick sip of water. He did the good
I was actually thinking
For anybody who's got to do the public speaking thing, you just watched a clinic taking place there. That's
Repeated
a great question.
Broke
Repeats
it up
it
into
kind
pieces.
of, you know, in a retrospective sort of way. We're giving him a little extra time here, Ray, too, with throwing in a little bit of that. But anyway,
I'll tell you, the man's an expert.
I am going to go with, on this one, I'm going to go with the Fallout universe.
Oh,
so
God.
the reason behind this, so here's why. All right, hear me out. Okay, we'll go more, let's say, Fallout 4 universe, not so much like the original
Boston.
Fallout.
I wasn't ready.
So we'll go, I do enjoy Boston, so we'll start there with that. It's a great area, you know, and but the fact that, you know, I've just come out the vault and everybody's already had time to figure it out. So I'm just kind of like, you know, everyone built this world. I'm merely just kind of hopping around in it trying to find my son. No, I just thought it was really cool because you have, I mean, of course, you got your mutants, super mutants, all that stuff. You got some ghouls and all that. But the fact that everyone now has taken the time to build up, make sure everyone purify water, do all that. But it's the post-apocalyptic. Maybe it's that little bit of steampunky feel to it. But it's the fact that everyone talks about what the world would be like, and then you could actually be in it and see it. And you could get yourself some sweet, you know, super body armor, you know, and the T-72. So the T-72 armor there,
yeah,
but I just think the idea.
You need the battery units for that one, in the the fusion batteries,
the atomic cores. Yeah, but I do like. I think the way that it's set out there and the way they turned Boston. Because I will say, I actually got Fallout 4 as a wedding gift from a friend. So that's if that shows my. But so I played it, but then took a trip up to Boston about 3 years later. And I was like looking around, I was like, some of this kind of looks a little familiar. I mean, of course, you know, the big things, you know, like Boston Commons, you know, Fenway, things like that.
They got the landmarks down. Like maybe not geographically accurate, but they got them down.
But the hotel that we were staying at, the size of the building and the kind of scale to it is actually in the game. But it is, you know, kind of rubbly and stuff, but they still got the dimensions sort of right. It was one, you know, it was a couple blocks off of Boston Commons, and you could go down, and you could kind of tell it looked like the building. So they actually did their work in there. So it was actually nice to see it in that post-apocalyptic world. So that is why I choose Fallout 4, because you know, I'd like to see what the world would be like when everybody thought it ended.
Not terribly different from Boston as it exists today, just slightly more radioactive Fallout.
That's a shot right there too at the end of this.
Yeah, the Philly in me's coming out here. I got
right there.
Fair enough.
Well, Bromein, first of all, I got to thank you again. cknbromein. You can find him everywhere, even on platforms that don't exist yet. You will find Chicken Bromein available to you there. I just want to say thank you because, again, you know, we're calling this a pilot. This was kind of thrown together. You can tell again because of the fact that I stepped all over Ray's lines at various points in this and forgot where I was supposed to do that because I did not do our notes as thoroughly as Ray and I have done for other things in the past. So I will then thank Ray again for coming along on this experiment with me and allowing me to step on his lines without throwing up his papers in a hissy fit and wandering off here. So, Ray, where's everybody find you? We got to get that in here at the end at least.
They find me on Twitch every once in a while, but honestly, I'm probably on Channel 3 streaming or on Dad Gaming streaming. I don't know the last time I streamed my own thing. Just find me on the website. I'm hanging out there. I'm on Discord all the time. I don't do any of the other fancy stuff. I'm not like Bromein. I don't have it all locked down like that, but I'm around.
So Bromein, I'm going to close out with one thing here that I didn't list on here as well. You know, we are focusing this on Channel 3. For anybody who's not familiar, channel3.gg. Everything you hate about the other websites and social medias for gaming is all better over here and only getting better by the day. But I got to ask you, what's been your favorite thing since Channel 3's come into your life?
So I'll say two things. So quests are definitely a fun one because, I mean, of course, XP in there, the free spin, stuff like that. Actually, shout out, see if I can hold it up at time. I did get a little bomba on top of that. So a little plush
from
bomba.
The prize wheel.
Yeah. So, so the quest, though, is fun because it makes you think about what you've done in gaming. Because it's everything from like one I proposed is, do you have a gaming tattoo? And I do. I have a Fallout Nuka-Cola bottle cap, but it's one of those, who else is like, so who else is obsessed with games that they permanently mark it on their skin? And it's like, but it's also the how many kills can you get? What's the most eliminations? Because you can't use the word kill. No, how many eliminations can you get?
Yeah, Fortnite keeps it cleaner. That's
it was the can you do an unfair 1v4 in Rocket League, or can you get the 3 seconds left on World 1-1 on Mario? It's the stuff that makes it fun and exciting, and of course you can get free rewards with it too, but then you can also put it on your timeline and say, hey, I'm actually good at this game, or hey, I'm terrible, or I'm just trying my best. And it's just fun because no one's judging you for it at all, and no one's saying, oh, this guy's just posting stuff about gaming because he wants attention. No, it's because we're in a community where we all want to share our love for gaming, our experiences, and come together over it, which I think is awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. Ray, thanks for coming along for the ride again. Bromein, thank you for being our scientific victim here. And on that note, we're going to close this out, and I'm sure at some point I will figure out something clever to say. However, I don't have it now, so we're just going to say see you later. And thanks for watching, listening, whatever this is. If we ever allow it out of the vault, whether we re-record something with Bromein, if we continue to do this, or if we say, oh my God, this was a horrible mistake, and we bury it with the ET cartridges, except this will actually never be found, unlike the ET cartridges. We'll see how that goes. So thanks, everybody. And thank you again, Ray, and especially special guest, cknbromein.